Good afternoon from sunny, very lovely, slightly chilly Rhyl on the North Wales coast. Yes, and here we are. It's already week 3 has passed. This is obviously lockdown vlog week 3, going now into week 4. And again, what a week. I mean, I suppose you can complain about being in lockdown and complain about many things to do with COVID and topics we'll move on to in a minute. But you can't complain. There's not much going on. Well, there's a lack of events. Sorry, wobbly stand here. This is just my tablet's always my film is my tablet is sat on I've got a rickety thin metal music stand that I use for my violin and flute practice and things. So that's what I've been doing. That's my hobby, is teaching myself to play instruments. So at the minute I'm trying to rotate teaching myself to play the piano, my guitar, violin, and my latest acquisition, a flute, which is I've been enjoying, but probably you have to practice. You're supposed to practice each one, 10-15 minutes a day, but of course that doesn't happen because there's lots of things to do. So yeah, it's been another eventful week, the third week. Now you're gonna have to bear with me because I never pre-prepare what I'm gonna say. I never pre-prepare lists. I probably should do just for aids for my memory. So I try to remember what's happened. I never pre-prepare speeches or what I'm going to say or public addresses because I don't think it's it. I think it when I've tried to do that, before it messes up spontaneity. I think it takes the sort of passion out of what you're trying to say and get across. So, well, it's been a week since Sir Starmer was elected leader of the Labour Party, and in that week he's done quite a bit for his first week. Let's see now. He's, in War's humble opinion, perhaps yours, if you disagree please comment down below, he's singularly failed to condemn or call out bankers taking their April bonuses after the banks had been bailed out literally weeks before by Mr. Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, straight from Goldman Sachs, with of course our money to the tune of £330 billion. So he failed to do that. He failed to call out and condemn multinational companies rewarding their shareholders by giving out dividends. So he obviously, which is not really a surprise, I suppose, from someone cut from a cloth that Sir Keir is. He's immediately been, the desperation has just come through the television screen at me when I've been watching him, been desperate to sort of have some sort of unofficial coalition between the Tories and himself. Not so much party to party, but I think more from what I've heard him saying, like a coalition cabinet or something. So he's part of the Tory cabinet. Just bizarre, considering most people I see's opinion of and even the media, even their own newsprint media, and usually people the MSN supporting them no matter what, drubbing of them and their handling of COVID. That's just really is bizarre, frankly. Over the weekend, Sir Keir and Angela Rayner, the Deputy of Labour, sorry, not Angela Rayner, Sir Keir and what's her name, Lisa Nandy, sorry, I believe Shadow Foreign Secretary, were out shilling for the Tories, apologising for, well, basically being Boris Johnson's apologists, Tory apologists, and are defending the Tories' mishandling of the COVID crisis, the economic crisis. Again, I mean, he's doing it because he wants to be part of the government, basically, but just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. What else? Oh, God. Of course, the report came out. Well, the report didn't come out. Probably the most damaging report in Labour's history has been leaked, basically, by people who felt it should come out and wasn't going to otherwise, about the, well, just gobsmacking scale of and depth of the people within Labour, the top echelons of the Labour Party, who actively for months and months, maybe years, tried to destroy Labour's chances of winning after the election of Jeremy Corbyn, up to and past the 2017 general election. I mean, you got the General Secretary of the Labour Party then, who's now Lord Ian McNicol, was firmly involved. Well, seemed to have headed it all, basically. This is all on what the report sort of shows. It's WhatsApp conversations between him and then, which we to be honest, within the party, we ones that were paying attention knew this was going on. I think the shock was the sheer amount of senior, highly paid, privileged Labour officials at the time that were involved in this conspiracy. And it was a conspiracy. It was a traitorous conspiracy. And, you're talking about, serious class traitors. People who were actively willing and working for their own party, their own movement, Labour movement, what's supposed to be a working class movement, to fail, to lose to this. They'd rather have the Theresa May's conservative austerity, murderous, 130,000 people have died from social care cuts, cuts to welfare, and the changes to welfare in the NHS. During that, up to that time, and during that time, but they still would have they still would rather, and actively worked and wished for Theresa May's Tories to continue in government, and for their own party that paid their wages and gave them everything they had then and everything they have now, wished failure on it, wanted it to fail. Just let that set in. Just think about that. Let that set in. If you or me, a normal person, was in an organisation, was working there, and we vehemently disagreed or were opposed to changes in leadership or changes in policy of that organisation, or what that organisation was about, then what you'd do is you'd either keep quiet, keep your opinions to yourself and carry on if you're not that bothered. If you're that bothered that that company failed, surely a normal person would just step away, But to take the money, keep the position, keep the privilege. And I've noted that most of the people that have been outed in the leak, if you go on their Twitter profiles, quite a few have locked them, so you can't actually look at their profiles. The ones that haven't, nearly always stick in their description about themselves, ex-Labour director, ex-Labour staffer, and their position. So they're perfectly happy to use that on their Twitter accounts to sort of promote themselves for the positions they've gone on to take. Some in again, very important positions, high up positions, highly paid positions, and privileged ones in unions. I mean, I think there's one or two that work in unison at executive level. There's one or two I think that work for with George Osborne in his Northern Powerhouse company or something like that. Nonsense. Yeah. So anyway, bit right. So he's been obviously. But so what Keir Starmer's been doing is actively, since that's come out, rather than comment on it, he haven't commented on it at all about what's been found out and the investigation that's been going on. What he's decided to do is actively silence the whistleblowers. So now what he's done, I think today, or late yesterday, is launched an investigation into the whistleblowing and the dissemination of this report, which he apparently, as soon as he took power on a week ago, was given and buried, suppressed. So yeah, he's done quite a lot. I'm trying to think of something else that I've missed, to be honest. No, I think that's it to my knowledge. I think for your first week, that's pretty good going. He's been a busy bee. So that's Keir. What else has happened in the week? Obviously, our Prime Minister that we've all been praying for, in accordance with the Sun's wishes, is out of hospital, convalescing in Chequers, his lovely, luxurious, stately home out in, I don't know where it is actually. Again, his statement was quite interesting. He thanked the staff at St Thomas's Hospital where he was for saving his life. Thank you, you saved my life. You saved my life. The man was on oxygen. He was on oxygen. He was in intensive care, but he was never receiving intensive care. He was on oxygen because he was having some difficulty breathing. Again, I said this in my last video, I've been on oxygen. Lots of people have been on oxygen because they have difficulty breathing. This saving my life thing is of course, we know where it is. It's interesting that when I looked at his approval ratings, I can't remember which public company it was, his approval ratings, personal approval ratings, the day before he went into hospital, it had plummeted to 34% approval, from what only a few days before had apparently been the highest approval rating of any Tory leader in modern times. And then the next day he's in hospital, and the Sun's going for the whole week full blown, literally, let's pray for our Prime Minister, let's pray for Boris. Boris is at death's door. Despite the fact that his own number 10 press team had been putting out the night he went in that actually this was just a precautionary measure, a precaution by his doctors, doctor or whatever. He was in intensive care the same way that I've been in Blenheim Palace. That doesn't make me, Lord Marlborough or the Duke of Marlborough. That means I've just been in Blenheim Palace, And I personally found it very insulting because, especially with the Sun, I sort of pray for Boris, him saying that you've saved my life and all sort of stuff, and his Nixon trick of learning their names and repeating their names of the staff and nurses that he met in hospital and looked after him. I mean, that's such an old, tired, transparent, political slimeball trick, right from Nixon's bleeding bag of tricks to make him seem more human. While at the very same time, because of what he didn't failed to do back in January, and him and his ministers are continuing to fail to do, and to even apologise for now, or acknowledge is a problem. People were literally dying in the hospital. I'm sure in the hospital, in hospitals all over the place now. We find out, of course, that actually the figures being given out by the deaths, which have reached 1,000 a day this past week, are only hospital figures that do not include care home deaths and deaths in the home, in people's own homes. And this morning, well, let's get to the last 3 days. On it's Tuesday today, so on Easter Sunday, you had, I think it was, who was it? The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock. He was about as insincere as you could possibly get at his press conference, his sort of the daily press conference that he was doing. Didn't know how many NHS staff under his watch had died because of COVID. Indeed, had to make a separate video, I think, or in a separate interview afterwards, after he'd then bothered to find out, then tell us it was 19 at the time, I think. But in the same video, refused to acknowledge that his inactions, the government's inactions with PPE, had any causal link to their deaths or contracting the virus whatsoever. No one bought that. No one's going to buy that. No one's going to. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Where's the causal evidence? Give this man a break. I mean, how thick are these people? These ministers. He refused to apologise in the press conference. For still this is third week gone. Lack of PPE, lack of ventilators, all this stuff that was promised almost a month ago now. Refused to apologise because he doesn't believe that they're doing anything wrong. It's not their fault. Anything that's going wrong is not their fault. You know, they're the government. They're in charge, but it's not their fault. He's the minister in charge. It's not his fault. You know. He keeps using strange phrases as well, like he'll give you the death figures and say, it's a sad story, or what was it today? It was him and another toy minister. A sad something. It's very disingenuous and just odd response to 1,000 people a day dying. Just strange. I think this is the sort of psychopathic tendency these people have, where they just don't see you and me as actual people. You know, they don't care. So that was Sunday. Monday, Priti Patel. Jesus Christ! If you're going to meet a psychopath, that's what I will. There's no empathy for anybody else whatsoever. Home Secretary Priti Patel came out again. Refused to acknowledge there were serious issues, refused to apologise, and said, went as far as saying, I'm sorry if people feel our response has been inadequate, to the government. And then today, that was on Monday, and then today Tuesday, I watch Theresa Coffey, who's the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, the person that believes that you and I, if we can't work or have lost our jobs, should easily be able to live on and pay our bills and keep the roofs over our heads with £90 a week universal credit. More than enough. £90 of universal credit per week. More than enough in her opinion. I saw her say it on Peston on Wednesday. Even though Robert Peston, told her that the night before, two of her colleagues, I think one of them was Dominic Raab, the acting, they haven't got one, but the acting sort of deputy PM, while Johnson's been in hospital, admitted there's no way he could survive on £90 a week. Oh, and also this week we found out that the Houses of Parliament are giving offering MPs an extra £10,000. An extra £10,000 each to help them work from home, to pay things like printers and printing paper and laptops and things like that. I mean, In the article I read, it said that MPs get a basic salary of about almost £83,000 a year, which has gone up because as it started, they voted themselves a pay rise. You didn't see that in the media. Anyway, I didn't see it in the mainstream media reported. They already get, I think it's £23,000 towards running an office, so admin costs basically. Now this extra 10, so this is before other expenses, so their sort of London the living expense for renting somewhere, the rules around claiming expenses to prove why you need that money following the expenses scandal years ago have apparently all been relaxed as well this week, so Christ knows what else they're claiming for. I mean, and this is basic MPs. As a minister, this Theresa Coffey, in charge of the DWP, will be getting minister's pay as well on top of that. And then we don't know what personal wealth is. Well, I mean, when half the cabinet's multi-millionaires, it's a good bet she's not exactly coming from, she's a Tory minister. She ain't coming from the place you and me are, let's put it that way. So this is a person who's got money coming out of her backside, telling you and me and everybody else that £90 a week is perfectly adequate to feed yourself, pay your bills, and keep a roof over your head via mortgage or rent. You know what I mean? Or not rent, because that would be housing benefit, but mortgage, because you can't get housing benefit for a mortgage. I have no idea what the hell. Anyway, what's going on there? Today we found out that apparently they reckon there's going to be sort of, at the end of this, 4 million people claiming universal credit. I can tend to believe that, to be honest. So, to put that into perspective, I think it was less than 1 million people claim universal credit before this started. So that means you'll have 3 million easy starting to claim. The system's not set up for that, can't cope with that. Again, nothing from the government or her about that, about what they're going to do to make sure people are getting that money, even the 90 quid a week, to be honest with you, and their housing benefit if they can get it. Child benefit for the first 2 children. Nothing from her, really. Almost nothing. I mean, again, have you seen? I mean, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, all of the social media, hours and hours a day. Have you seen all the adverts from the government about what help's coming, or what plans they've got in place to help you, or any sort of public information sort of stuff? I can't think of anything I've actually seen. I've seen the chief medical officer on TV a few times on the adverts. On social media, almost something, especially as they try to apparently persuade, younger people to stop flouting the lockdown, particularly younger lads. Well, that's where they are. They're on, they're on their tablets and on their phones and things, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and other things. I mean. All of that, I'm afraid, says to me that, and there's still no test, there's still no mass testing, and they're pretending there's not. All of that just proves to me that they've still got the herd, the policy is still herd immunity, just by stealth. That's all it is, by stealth. They're just not official. They're just not officially saying that's our policy, because there's no real effort or attempt to stop this, or it's just stay at home. I mean. Governments can do anything. Governments have the power, as they did in wartime, to requisition industry and companies that make one thing to stop making those things and make the things that we do need. That's not happening. They've had a few contracts to Dyson and McLaren or something for some respirators. How's that mass mobilisation to create what we need? It's not. It's half-arsed. Here's a contract, a big fat contract, and some public money for you. My tennis partner. My bloody member of my own private members club or whatever. Billionaire buddy. So that's been going on. What else? There's lots. Again, I should have made a list. I can't remember it all. but a hell of a lot of stuff. And it's again, it's the longer this goes on. I think they announced today or yesterday that Dominic Robbion there's going to be another 3 weeks at least of lockdown, which is no surprise, But here where I am, I've still seen over the weekend because it was nice and sunny. I've still seen. I'm not going to say who. I've seen from my bedroom window, which is right there. I've seen at least one local family household having a bit of a garden party and inviting family members and friends over, which of course completely makes a mockery of the whole bleeding thing. There's still people coming to North Wales to some of the holiday camps, even though 2 weeks ago there was a huge outcry and outrage about people coming to Snowdonia and the holiday camps from the northwest or whatever. It's still happening, probably not the same scale, but it's still happening. Because we're not really in lockdown, are we? Again, the Tories haven't bothered to actually really enforce a lockdown. That's not, it's not really a lockdown. It's still a flights are still coming in to the major airports without people being checked or quarantined, which you'd think would be again one of the first things you'd do. I would think that if I was in charge, There's no real. I haven't really seen or heard of anyone being fined for flouting the rules on being out and about, holding garden parties, all this sort of stuff. So there's not really a lockdown. If you're watching this, you and me and people I know are self-isolating for our own health reasons and because we're thinking of others. We don't want to pass on whatever we might have. I've been ill over the weekend. And I shouldn't have been, and so have my one of the other two people I've lived with, or live with, has been ill. It could have been that. We don't. I don't know. We don't know. All I know is it was a bit odd. It was out of the blue. Shouldn't have had it because we've had no contact with anyone for 3 weeks, really. Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. If we were going to have it, that's about when it would show. The 2 week incubation period. So we don't know because again there's been no testing, so we don't know if. But I mean, I'm in Wales. I've started again, as with the UK. I've not seen any information whatsoever from the Welsh Labour government at all. Really, I've heard my mum said today that she saw somewhere that we seem to have hit the plateau of cases here. Number of cases. I've not seen that. There's been no letters through the door that I know of. There's been no social media sort of stuff that I've seen anywhere. So I know it's being mishandled because I can think of all the things I'd do if I was in charge, and I'm sure you can too, that are just obvious, which haven't happened and aren't happening, and we all know probably aren't going to happen, because at the end of the day, those in power don't give a shit about you and don't give a shit about me or our families. Never have done, certainly don't now. There is now no opposition to the Tories. You've either got Tory blue or Tory red. They're already acting as one government in incompetence together. So it's all down to us now. I'd recommend you go and check out the Workers' Party of Great Britain, the Communist Party of Great Britain. People are joining both organisations over the past couple of weeks in their droves because they've seen what's happened, where we are now politically, and as not just politically in our daily lives, which is we've got a government and opposition that isn't an opposition, that's part of government, that don't care about what's happening to us, are almost willing it, if not willing it to happen to us, because they're not affected. And they expect our support, they expect our votes. And the only thing we can do, as with work, the world of work, is withdraw our support. Just the same as you withdraw your labour. That's all you can do. That's the only power you have. So to my comrades still left and colleagues still left in the Labour Party with a wait and see attitude, I understand that you don't want to be, because I didn't want to be, you don't want to be forced out by these right-wing neoliberal anti-worker bastards, Tory bastards in the Labour Party. You want to stay and fight, but as a principle, I'm the same mentality, same mindset. But you have to know when to cut your losses and not run, cut your losses and make a tactical withdrawal, because for a generation this is going to go nowhere in Labour. Nowhere. Labour's done. Labour's a dead duck electorate. It's finished. I'm certain of it. I think anybody else that's been paying attention is certain of it. I was certain of it in December. I'm doubly certain of it now. Who's Keir Starmer going to appeal to, other than Tories who already vote for the Tories? So why would they vote for Keir Starmer? I think this is what he knows, which is why I was trying to say, to people, I'm a Tory. I'm Boris Johnson's bestie mate. Vote for both of us. Vote for me. Only problem with that, of course, is it's voting for one of the two cheeks of the same backside. And we've all been through that before, haven't we? So yeah, check them out on Twitter, on Facebook. See what you think. If you want to join up, I know people from both, and I'm friends with people from both parties. You'll be more than welcome. You'll actually be welcome. Imagine that. If you're a Labour Party member and have been for the past 5 years, you'd actually be welcomed. We'd actually appreciate your membership and your participation. Imagine that. I can't. I'm going to finish here because I'm going to play. I'm going to try and play Cluedo with my nieces and nephews who are in quarantine somewhere else in their house in self-isolation. I'm going to try and do it over over the internet. I don't know how it's going to work. We're going to try and do it that way. So that's going to be an experience. So I'll leave it here, but I'll just say I've been asked to join both parties, and I would like to be very flattered. After 5 years of Labour and what's now come out in the leaked documents about what was going on the higher echelons of Labour, which was actually going on all the way through down to the bottom levels here and all over the country at the CLP level, just as viciously, just as nastily, just as pettily, and the effect it's had on my health and life at times over the past 5 years. I'm now just I even though I totally align with them and agree with and love my friends from both parties, I've reached the stage where I'm enjoying being independent, saying what I think, thinking what I want, doing what I want, but the thought of belonging to another hierarchical organisation, albeit one that I agree with 100% and support 100%, terrifies me, frankly. It's a scar that will always be with me, to be honest. So let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's see what happens going forward. But that's the way to go now. So don't despair. Find your alternatives. Lick your wounds. And get involved together. Let's get the bastards out together. So here's to you. Here's to me. See you at the end of week 4, which we're now in, and have fun and take care. Yeah, and I'll let you know how the virtual Cluedo went. So take care.